Hey guys, I'm the 8-bit Reptile and I just wanted to put out a video tonight just based on my selections and team adjustments based on what I saw from the practice matches. I've been looking at a lot of the other sort of updates from team selections and stuff, and I just think there's too much emphasis in the community right now over the premium picks. Whilst you can't ignore them outright, I mean, we're not really looking at premiums right now. Maybe you're looking for some confirmations over roles, but in general, we really want to see, you know, what the rookies are doing, what the new guys are doing, and maybe the mid prices, and looking for some more opportunities in our teams. So with that being said, I just want to roll through my selections if I can. And at D1, we have Jack Sinclair at 9%. Look, I stand by what I said in previous videos. Jack Sinclair is the pod of all pods this year. Will push for D1 and will definitely be a top 6 defensive selection, with Naz moving into the midfield. And from what I saw from the Naz role, it wasn't that impressive at the price. Obviously, Naz is a great player, but he will see more attention this year in the midfield. And with that being said, Sinclair looks like the obvious choice for me at D1. So anyway, not to bark on too much about premiums after I said they don't really matter, but in this case, it's all good. Next up, Connor Rosie, another one we saw with obviously role confirmation, took a lot of kick-ins, was behind the ball, did see some inside mid-time, but that was after an injury was sustained to, I think, William Drew. Could be wrong on that one, but for the most part, Rosie played behind the ball, looked great, took kick-ins, so we're happy there. Next up, another one remaining in our side is Jordan Clark. Looked amazing at Freo behind the ball. Again, another guy that wins the footy off work rate. Took a lot of kick-ins as well. Doesn't look like Luke Ryan is coming back into that Dockers side anytime soon, even with the addition of McPhee. So Jordan Clark for me is definitely the number one outlet role for Fremantle out of their back line, and we confirm that. Next one is a bit of a shaky pick. Sorry about the clackering of the keyboard, but we're doing what we can while we can. It's Colby McKercher. Now, I really like the look of Tom McCarthy here from the Eagles at this spot. McKercher, I don't even think played in the North Melbourne practice game, so for now he's in the side for budget reasons, and also, you know, we want to see a little bit from McKercher before we lock down this pick, but for right now he's in our side. Next up is a guy that has been in our side all pre-season, and we saw confirmation of this. Lachlan Blackiston. He's in our team at D5. Definitely number one ruckman at Essendon, and played that well. In fact, I'm not even sure if Nick Bryan comes straight back into that team. They may slow play him in. They may not rush him back after the knee injury. Blackiston also definitely gets the dual position after the first adjustments in Supercoach, in which case we'll be able to put him into our ruck line through the flex position or through other means, either via trade, and for that reason, and should score quite well at 295,000, so happy to take him. Next is we move into some of the rookie backline. Lockie Jakes looked great across halfback for Western Bulldogs. Carmichael not featuring in that team. Looks like the role is Jakes. Going to start him on field. Next up, and that's an adjustment from the practice matches. Next up is Josh Lindsay, just barely still clawing into our side. Probably look for an upgrade here or a different selection at 122,500. Not an awkward price, still a cheap player, but not sure if he gets a game there. There was a few outs, Baker out, obviously Starcevic to come into that side. Lindsay was good at times, but kind of poor in his disposal, which is what he's known for in other instances. So in that case, you know, on shaky ground, definitely not fieldable, but possibly on the bench after looking like a fieldable selection throughout most of the preseason. Next up, new selection, Lennox Hoffman. Looked good, looked very much in line with Lockie Jakes. The only reason here is not sure if he actually breaks into this Geelong side, but did himself no disservice. And at 119 1,900. We can look to trade him for other selections if he wasn't to get up, but looked very good running halfback, which is what we like to see in Supercoach. Next up, guy that didn't play, but we're not being wavered from Zach Butters. He's our number one selection. He looks like our best captaincy option week to week, and we'll be taking him at M1 like most of the league. Next up, another guy, and this was a team that I was really impressed with. I know we're not going to harp on premiums at the moment, but Sydney looked really good at the top end. The thing I liked most about Sydney and the Sydney selections is the return of their forward, who name escapes me just for right now. Logan McDonald. So the return of Logan McDonald and the addition of Charlie Curnow really does straighten up the Sydney midfield. And if I could afford him, I'd be taking Isaac Heaney in this position. Was really impressed with Goulden's role inside mid. Don't want to harp on about too much about premiums, but yeah, Goulden and Heaney really look like great selections in the midfield. Okay, moving on. Next one is a bit of an against the grain pick, and that's Ned Long. It was hard to kind of appraise Collingwood's practice match performance, because there was so much of their top line talent missing from that side. So it was hard to take away even their rookie performances, because you want to see roll alongside the premiums if you can. But Ned Long for me is still the number 2 selection in the Collingwood midfield, and at that position, if the numbers are correct, should average around 105 for the year, and at 420,000 makes him a bit of a bargain. Not a keeper as such, but someone that we might be able to roll into as our 23rd premium by the end of the season. But still happy to sort of see how Ned Long goes, and happy to take the risk at that selection. Ned Long in 1% of sides, so he has actually gone up from the last time that I actually recommended him. Okay, next up is Hayden Young. Hayden Young in 51% of teams is at a price you can't ignore. Will definitely play inside mid at Fremantle, possibly their number 3 midfielder, and should have a 20-point uptick from his actual price. So we're happy to take him. Next up is Harley Reid. Now, Harley Reid is another one with Josh Lindsay that is looking on the out after the practice match. Look, Harley Reid had a really good game of footy, but he just still has a tendency to kind of, lose his head, get a bit aggravated at certain decisions that are obvious to everybody, and kind of just still does some sort of brain dead kind of stuff out there. So, but I mean, good at footy. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Similar to Hayden Young, probably has a 20-point up spike in his position, but didn't love what we saw out of Harley Reid. Someone we did love what we saw the look of was Harry Ralston. Now, Harry Ralston looks to be like the guy at GWS that benefits from Tom Green tragically being out with an ACL this year, is going to linger even between number 3 behind Clayton Oliver and Finn Callahan as possibly the 3rd inside mid for GWS. Now, obviously, Caniglio will be a part of that kind of equation, but whether Cogs can handle the rigours of a full season, we're yet to know. Even Ralston at the number 4 midfielder for GWS at 271,700 does give us some value, and he's just taken that next spot for me in the midfield at this point. Next up is Jacob Farrow. Had a great game for Essendon, looked like their best rookie. For me, went ahead of Dyson Sharp, who is not in our side currently but may come back in. Farrow looks like a fieldable option, and we're happy to take him there, with only a couple of rookies in our midfield, with the other one being, of course, Jagger Smith. S-tier rookie selection. Is probably, this might be a huge call, but is probably Carlton's 2nd best player at this point. Just to qualify that statement, Walsh is their best player and Cripps is their most important player, but Jagger Smith's certainly good at footy and a good option, I think, on field as a rookie. Okay, next up, another Carlton player that ended up in our side was Taylor Byrne. Now, he's part of a slew of kind of small forwards that look like getting a role at a variety of clubs this year. Reason he goes into my side is he's slightly cheaper than those other options. I would never field him, but was a class act really and kicked some clutch goals late in that game. And just the fact that he's a little bit cheaper and at a DPP option, that's why he gets the nod on my team. But that could certainly change. Gets a bit dicey in our midfield on the bench, guys, not going to lie. Okay, so next up is Charlie Banfield. Went ahead of Carroll for mine. A lot of Jack Carroll's 12% owned. Where are we with Banfield? I'd be surprised if he's 1% owned. If there is a role there on the wing, Charlie Banfield gets the nod for me. Also DPP, also a little bit cheaper. So that's why he's in our side, but impressed enough anyway. But certainly not a pick that I'm saying is a must-have. Next up, Oliver Greaves. Mentioned in previous video, 99k. Have to have a 99k on my team at this point. Oliver Greaves looks most likely to get a gig at that price. Wait and see there. If he does get a spot, we'll certainly be taking him. Okay, next up. So I wanted this spot to be Brodie Grundy. Just couldn't make it work with the money. Had to take too many 99k options to make it viable, and we can't do that. So we just went with Luke Jackson. Luke Jackson looked fine. We all know his versatility on the field. We'll get a variety of roles. He solo rucked for the day for Freo. Wasn't overly impressed, but maybe they're just reducing his workload knowing he had to ruck all day. But Luke Jackson looks like a viable option there anyway. But just wanted to reiterate that I liked Brodie Grundy as the most expensive ruckman, as an expensive ruck option. I think he looked really good. They hit him up in transition, does well in the center of the ruck, also rucks well around the ground, and we'll be doing what we can to get Grundy into our side. Depending on selections across the board. Looking at Harley Reid maybe to get him out of the team. If not, Blackiston maybe not make the cut. If we start to spend more money in our ruck, we won't need that backup. Lindsay, of course, can be downgraded, but there's other options. I'm sure there'll be other adjustments. But for right now, it's Luke Jackson. Look, I'm just going to leave my other two ruck selections blank for now because I think that's the big reveal. Yeah, look, guys, we'll go through the forward line. Still pretty generic across the board. A couple of picks that may wet the whistle, but we got Harry Sheezel, of course, at F1. Looked great. Played him all over the ground, but mostly on ball. Racked it up. Used the ball effectively. Did Harry Sheezel things. We can pick him with confidence. There's no reason to shy away from him in a pretty shallow forward pool. Next up was Flanders. Flanders, look, the role was there. Some people were more impressed with him than I was. Certainly got enough of the ball, and the role was there, and he got it in the positions that he needed to be. Bit wasteful for mine at times, especially in a practice match where there was so much free ball to get. But in any case, he's still in our team. Another guy that's come into our team that I've been saying don't take all preseason, but has just become undeniable, is Mateus Philippou. Looked really good forward and played a little bit on the ball, moved up the ground, won the ball at will. And at that price, I really can't ignore Philippou at this point. Really an S tier rookie pick. And we're going to do a rookie selection video next. We're going to do a tier list for rookies based on what we saw in the practice match. That's going to be my next video, so stay tuned for that, and I'll do a deeper look at all the rookies that I noticed that played over all practice matches on the weekend, so stay tuned for that. But Philippou, definitely on the back of his performance, goes into our side. Next up, we have another guy that's been in everyone's team all preseason. That's Devon Robertson. Played inside mid for the Eagles. Looked good. There's no reason why they wouldn't pick him. He's gone ahead he's gone in front of, if he wasn't already, in front of quite a few other players that we may have been looking at the Eagles. I don't want to flood my team with cheap Eagles players, so I really want to take the kind of the cream of the crop, and Devin Robinson was definitely that. So we'll take him at 119,900 as a forward. There's no reason not to take him, and also fieldable. Next up, I mentioned that the Collingwood game was pretty hard to sort of value everyone's performance, but Harvey Harrison was in our team earlier, so he will remain in our side. Not much to say here. Again, we'll watch this space. Could be someone that comes out by the end, but for now, looked pretty good. Next up, we have, of course, my favourite pick, and that's Brian Myers. Look, Brian Myers played a little bit in the midfield, but I don't want to take too much away from that change of role. We all know that Holmes and Bailey Smith didn't play in that game, so probably won't see a lot of midfield time. But again, I'm not worried about the role because this guy is just the best football player with ball in hand in the AFL, hands down. So damaging, so clean as well with the ball in his area. And look, if he gets midfield time, forget about it. He could go F1, but we're not getting that excited. But definitely top 6 forward selection this year. Pick him with confidence. You heard it from me. Next up is the Thriller. Now, we didn't quite see the ruck time that I was hoping to see from Thilthorpe. It looked like Adelaide were doing everything in their power not to play Thilthorpe in the ruck, even though they didn't play Rob in the A team. So from that point of view, probably a little bit off the boil as far as pick, but really from a performance point of view, Thilthorpe, not only did he kick goals, go forward, take marks, kick goals as we all expect, maybe not week in, week out, which is why you wouldn't pick a permanent forward, but did do some work around the ground, even had a small stint in the midfield. But Thilthorpe's in our team for right now, may look to make a budget downgrade to a Darcy or even Kasiah Pickett, who was very impressive on the weekend. But for now, Thilthorpe's in our team. Okay, next up is... who's next? Oh, okay. Yep. Another rookie that caught our eye, Jay Polkinghorne for Geelong. Now, another one of these small forwards, but did look like more of a marking target for Geelong. And with Jeremy Cameron out of the side early, Polkinghorne put his hand up for round 1 selection. Not, again, right on the edge. I mean, he's at F8 for us, so I'm not picking him with any kind of confidence, but for me, he was one of the better performers of the practice games. Okay, another guy that made it into our side and may not last there. And I said don't pick this guy. I said don't pick people of this ilk. But Willem Dersma for the Eagles really impressed me. Saw a lot of midfield time. His attack on the footy was impressive. He's clean with the ball, got forward, kicked goals, won one-on-one contests against seasoned veterans. And, if you're weighing up between him and Hewlin for Gold Coast, Dersma gets the nod for me if you're only going to take one player at this kind of price range. But for me, really impressive, was someone that wasn't on my radar, someone I didn't want to pick. And unless there were some injuries late in that West Coast Dockers game, which was the last game I had to watch, and I didn't watch it all the way through. But Dersma really impressed with what I saw from him, and he will be in my side at the flex position. Okay, the rucks. What are we doing with the rucks, guys? So the first one should be no secret, and this guy's pick rate is going to go through the absolute roof because of his performance. And it's not coming up because this Mac and Mac business has got to stop. But anyway, it's Lachlan McAndrew. Looks to be Adelaide's first choice at the ruck. Was hoping to have some other budget options. You know, Duff Titler did put his hand up a little bit, but 190k probably can't take him at that price. There were a couple of others that didn't quite come into fruition, and we'll go through those in my tier list rookie options. But McAndrew certainly stood out and shone as the saviour we all needed. And his pick race is at 23%, but by season start, this guy will be 50% plus owned. So just wanted to get that out there first. Played in front of Riley O'Brien, that is, who probably doesn't make the Crows top 20 starting 23. So at 119,900, you cannot ignore that value, and he'll be my R3. Okay, so my last pick and the last guy that kind of impressed me the most over the practice games, and I kind of like what this team did with him as well. I think they're ahead of the curve here. Is Jake Riccardi. Now, I could just hear the collective moans out there from the internet, but hear me out. Riccardi looked great in the middle of the ground, can go forward, can still kick a goal, was a part of a link up, you know, has the mobility to tackle, can play below his knees, and, you know, in a GWS side that played both Kieran Briggs and Nick Madden. I think it's Nick Madden. It's definitely Madden. What's his name? Yep, Nick Madden. They played Riccardi as their number one ruck, and to me that was eye-opening. And the position and the game he played was also eye-opening as well. So I'll be taking Riccardi as that mid-priced kind of option. And as the season progresses and Blackiston kind of gets that dual role, we may look to do something with our flex position between our rucks. But anyway, that's my team adjustment reveal, guys. Let me know if there was anyone I missed. Like I said, I'll be doing that rookie tier list where you might see some of your selections being kind of scrutinized on their performance, and you might be noticing some key players that aren't in my team anymore. Sometimes it's just down to budget, but other times it's down to performance. So anyway, guys, let me know how I went. Didn't have the camera rolling this week because it's being a wang. But anyway, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.